Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Courtside. I am your host, Andrew Cohen. Courtside is a podcast dedicated to all things sports, with a focus on basketball. In today's episode, I will talk about NBA free agency. I will discuss Demarcus Cousins signing with the Warriors, Lebron James taking his talents to Los Angeles, Paul George returning to Oklahoma City, and more. So sit back, relax, and take a seat. Courtside. So originally, when I was coming up with what to talk about in this episode of the podcast, when I saw LeBron James sign, I'm like, oh, that's it. There's my big story. There's my big take for episode 2. And then, here we go. Demarcus Cousins signing with the Golden State Warriors out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Everyone's like, oh, back to New Orleans, 1 or 2 year deal. Maybe the Lakers. But the Golden State Warriors now have 5 All-NBA players on Tuesday, July 3rd. They have the greatest starting lineup in NBA history. There's no other team that had 5 All-NBA players starting. Now listen, he's obviously not healthy yet. He'll be back maybe by January, I think would be where the Warriors at the earliest would want him back. But, my God, they're going to go into the playoffs and they're going to destroy everybody in their path. And I've heard some people talk about, well, you know, Demarcus Cousins is coming off the injury. He's not going to be that great. You know, this could really ruin his career. He may not be nearly the same player. And I say, all he has to do is be better than JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee was really the only center they played in the playoffs last year. Jordan Bell's not a center. He's a 4 probably. Draymond Green's an undersized center. If he plays center, he's not a true center. So all Demarcus Cousins has to do is be better than JaVale McGee. And he's obviously going to do that. I don't think there's any question in my mind that 20, 30 minutes a game, he's going to give you way more production. So they're just going to steamroll through the playoffs. And this is a bad look for the NBA. I mean, you're talking about a league where player movability it's way easier to see in the NBA than it is in the NFL or the MLB, and that's because the NFL and the MLB don't really have it. In the MLB, you have to have the right amount of service years before you can hit real free agency. The NFL, I mean, teams sign you to huge contracts on your rookie deal, and then they can extend you. Yes, in the NBA, you have about 8 years of control over your player after you draft them. The problem is, at the end of that 8 years, right? I mean, now most of those guys will be 27, 28. They're just hitting their prime, and they're going to hit unrestricted free agency, and they can go anywhere. We saw what Kevin Durant did. He went to Golden State. We saw what LeBron James did. He went to Miami. I mean, all these players, after the end of their rookie deal, plus an extension or a deal that was, they signed with the team or was matched, right? It's unbelievable to me how much player movability there is in the NBA. Now, that being said, I like the player movability. It makes things way more interesting, right? I mean, otherwise, we'd be coming back with the same team every year, and we know which teams are going to come out on top because, listen, the NBA, basketball is just a game where the individual matters more than in baseball or in football. The superstar in basketball can only really be compared to the quarterback in football. You need a good quarterback in the NFL to win, and you need a good superstar in the NBA to win. In fact, you need 2, maybe 3 superstars now. But when you have, already Kevin Durant going to the Warriors, people are pissed about it. I mean, nobody in their right mind was happy about that move. Okay, yeah, Warriors fans were happy. Everybody else in the NBA was like, what did we just see? The Warriors just won the next 3, 4 NBA championships. They have 4 All-NBA players, 2 guaranteed future Hall of Famers in Steph and Durant. If they win 2 more championships in a row, I don't know how you keep Clay and Draymond out. So everybody knew at that point when Kevin Durant signed his contract with the Golden State Warriors, everybody knew they were going to win. And for the past, this season, we saw some holes. We saw the Spurs beat them in a game. We saw the Pelicans win a game against them in the playoffs. We saw the Rockets win 3, go up 3-2. And if Chris Paul doesn't get injured, who knows? I still think the Warriors would have won that series. And we saw what happened in the finals, right? I mean, the Cavs just were not ready to play. However, game 1, they made it competitive somehow. I mean, LeBron James, one of the greatest carrying jobs in the NBA finals I've ever seen, he still lost. So we saw a couple cracks, a couple holes in the armor. But then it's like, okay, we signed Demarcus Cousins, all patched up. We're going to win this championship. We're going to win the next year's championship. Heck, we may even win 2 years. And even if, the crazy thing is, okay, Demarcus Cousins is gone after this year, my opinion. Right, so they're going to lose Demarcus Cousins. Klay Thompson, I think he wants to go back to Golden State. Money's going to be the issue. Can he get enough money in Golden State to stay? I have no idea. So if he leaves, Steph, Durant, and Draymond Green can still win the finals. They may still be the best team in the NBA, believe it or not. after next year when Klay Thompson leaves. That's unbelievable. So this is just a really bad look for the league. Listen, I think the Warriors this year, you're looking at potentially you were looking potentially at a beatable team. I don't think you are anymore. I think this team's going to steamroll through the Western Conference. I think they'll get to the finals. They'll play the Celtics. It will be a 5 or 6 game series, and that'll be it. The Warriors are your 3-time in a row NBA champions. Back to back to back. The three-peat. So, for me as an NBA fan, this is a bad move. You do not want to see this. This was just about the last thing I wanted to see this offseason. The Warriors actually get better. I didn't even think it was possible. I'm thinking about the Warriors cap, and I'm like, how are they still under the cap? The Boston Celtics are over the cap with Kyrie, Hayward, and Horford. Yet the Warriors can still work it all out. They can still work it all out with Steph, Klay, Draymond, Durant, and now Demarcus Cousins. That's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The King is taking his talents to the Los Angeles Lakers. It's not a shock. The biggest shock was just kind of actually seeing it and hearing it. Right? It's like, wow, he actually did it. He actually jumped the ship in Cleveland to go to LA. But then you think about it, it's like, it's so obvious. Like, there's no reason for him to stay in Cleveland. The only reason to stay in Cleveland would be family. His family's fine in LA. They have a house there. Kids are enrolled in school there. They're comfortable there. They're happy there. Right? At this point in his career, it's about business. And it's about happiness. Not just his happiness, but his family's happiness. And if he goes back to Cleveland, he's not going to win. If he comes to LA, he may not win either, but he's going to be much happier losing in the playoffs. He was miserable the entire year this past season. Nothing went right. Game 1 of the NBA Finals basically summed it up with the J.R. Smith play at the end of the game. Right? They may even still lose that game, but to lose it in that fashion is just terrible. Right? And he punched, what was it, a whiteboard, a clipboard, or something? I don't know what it was. And he broke his hand. I don't know if he really broke it, but there's definitely an injury there. Right? So he was frustrated with the Cleveland Cavaliers and that team and that organization, the front office. And why not just go to LA, kind of start over with young players, have myself be happy, have my family be happy, increase my brand, right? Expand the brand in LA, be the next great Laker, hopefully bring the next title to LA, but quite honestly, if I don't bring the next title to LA, who cares? I've had a successful NBA career. I would need to win 3-4 more. Right? With the people that don't believe in the best player of all time, think I need to win 3 to 4 more. And the people that already do, who cares what I do at this point in my career? So this just made the most sense for him. It wasn't really a shock. What I'm going to be interested to see is who the Lakers add. They're obviously not going to add another big free agent this year. Paul George went back to Oklahoma City, and that was kind of the guy I think they wanted. Right? And they've used up a lot of their cap room already on Rondo, Lance Stevenson, which should be interesting because if you don't know, he is basically known for blowing in LeBron's ear during the Eastern Conference Finals game between the Pacers and the Heat a couple years ago. So I'm interested to see that dynamic. Really interested. They re-signed Kentavious Caldwell-Pope basically at the same time they announced LeBron's signing, which I thought was really interesting because immediately they get LeBron and then they lose their max player cap room. They signed JaVale McGee to a minimum deal, which I think is good because they don't have a center at that point. But the common theme here, all one-year deals. They're setting themselves up so that next year, if there's a free agent out there, Kawhi Leonard is going to be a free agent if they don't trade for him. Klay Thompson will be a free agent. Karl-Anthony Towns will be a restricted free agent. They'll have the cap room to sign one of those guys. And all it will take is don't re-sign Rondo, don't re-sign Stevenson, don't re-sign McKee, don't re-sign Caldwell-Pope. That's an easy decision for the Lakers to make. They're setting themselves up for next year. Or potentially for a Kawhi Leonard trade this year. The Lakers this year will just have LeBron James, in my opinion. They will just have LeBron James at the end of this offseason. Chances they trade for Kawhi Leonard are just too low for me. But they have the options to trade Lonzo in the future. They have the options to trade Ingram in the future, Kuzma. But it's gonna be LeBron, and I think he would like to play with Kuzma. I think he believes Kuzma is the next, potentially all-star. Ingram still has that potential. I still think Lonzo has that potential. But Lonzo, once again, is a guy that needs to be on the ball a little bit more. And we'll see that dynamic play out this year if they don't trade Lonzo. But this team this year is going to be LeBron and the young guys. That's what it's going to be. LeBron, the young guys, and the veterans they just signed. And to me, they're going to be competitive in the playoffs. I think they'll win a series because you have LeBron James. Can they get to the Western Conference Finals? Probably not. But this signing is really good for the league. This signing is actually really good for the league because it's not LeBron joining some super team. He's going to go to LA, maybe build the next super team, but it's the league's biggest player with the league's biggest team. That's what it is. And that, for any sport, is just great. If Mike Trout were playing for the Yankees, that'd be great for the MLB. Could you imagine if Mike Trout was playing for the Yankees? I mean, Bryce Harper may go to the Yankees, and that would be huge for the league. So for LeBron James to be going to the Lakers, that's great for the NBA. That is great. Money making, right? The brand of the Lakers going to be back to their glory of the past. This is absolutely great for the NBA. I think as a fan, it's great to see, because if you're just a fan of the NBA, you want the Warriors to be taken down? How about putting LeBron James in the West? How about Lakers versus Warriors first or second round, tiring out the Warriors early, so that they set up another team with a tired Warriors team, more tired. I mean, if they're just setting up the next team to potentially have success against the Warriors, and even if the other team doesn't win, tire out the Warriors, send them to the next round more tired than they would be in the past couple years. Right? Maybe they lose. But this is overall just a great move for LeBron James and a great move for the NBA. Now let's move on to arguably the most surprising move of this offseason. Actually, I take that back. Demarcus Cousins was by far the most surprising move. But Paul George going back to the Oklahoma City Thunder, the first night of free agency, was extremely surprising. Because for over a year now, we've been hearing he wants to play for the Lakers. He's from California. He wants to play for the team he grew up rooting for. And he just re-signed with the Oklahoma City Thunder, small market team. Not much going on there outside of basketball. And I just thought that was really interesting. For a couple reasons. Number one, Sam Presti and Russell Westbrook did a great job of keeping him. And it was a move where they basically took a chance on a guy with 1 year left on his contract that wanted to play for a different team, wanted to go to Los Angeles, brought him in, and even though they didn't have tremendous success, right, they lost in the first round of the playoffs, he felt good enough in that situation to re-sign. But I thought more and more about it today, and it's not as surprising as I once thought it was, for a couple reasons. Number one, if you go to LA right now, he knows LeBron James wants to play for the Lakers. He's no longer the lead guy there. No, he's not the lead guy in Oklahoma City, but it's different. With LeBron James, historically, if his teams do well, LeBron James gets all the praise. And if his team does poorly, it's everybody around him that people criticize. We saw it this past year. The supporting cast of the Cavs, when they got to the finals, everyone's like, oh, it's LeBron's greatest achievement carrying this team to the finals. Which it wasn't, by the way. That was the 3-1 comeback against the Warriors a few years ago. Right, but it's his it's this great achievement. It's all LeBron. But when they lose, this supporting cast stinks. It's not on LeBron. Right? It's not LeBron's fault that he only scored 30 points. It's the fact the supporting cast stinks. LeBron did way more than he had to do. And listen, maybe it's warranted, but I mean, we saw it with like Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh is like the forgotten member was at least the forgotten member of the Big Three in Miami. And people just now, I think in the past year, have come to respect what Chris Bosh was for that team, what he meant for that Heat team that won 2 out of 4 championships. Right? Kevin Love gets a lot of criticism. I think he may be a little underrated now. Right? So for Paul George, do you want to go to Los Angeles? Right? Be the second guy, maybe the third guy, because you're hearing they may want to trade for Kawhi Leonard. So maybe the third guy, and the third guy in LeBron James' big threes, historically in each of the past 2, they get a lot of crap. Right? Now maybe Chris Bosh didn't get a lot of crap, but he didn't get the praise he deserved. Right? Kevin Love does not get any praise. None at all. So think about that from Paul George's perspective. Go to LA, and for all the success that the Lakers have while he's there, he will get very little of the praise for it. Versus Oklahoma City, he's going to be viewed as the guy because he went there and because he was paired alongside Russell Westbrook. That's why that team had success. Right? Russell Westbrook's a great player, but it's because of Paul George. Right? So just for him personally, and how, right? Because I think a lot of guys care about how they're perceived by the media and by the fans. And I don't have any evidence to back up that Paul George feels that way. Also, if you consider this Oklahoma City Thunder team, they're a good team. Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Steven Adams. Now, Carmelo Anthony's done after this year. He'll be a free agent. You can let him walk, and you'll have a ton of cap room to go out and sign somebody. They could bring in a third star. So if you're Paul George, staying in Oklahoma City, where he's been for the last, he was only here for 1 year, but clearly he enjoyed it enough, right? Being with Russell Westbrook, who, at least, right, they became good friends, right? And apparently I was hearing reports that he was very impressed with just that organization, with Sam Presti and the front office there and the ownership, how much they cared about the team and how much they were willing to do to make the team better and compete for championships. So after next year, they bring in another star. And now they're a legit title contender. So for Paul George, go to LA, play with LeBron, compete for championships, or stay in Oklahoma City, be really comfortable, get a lot of praise, be positively viewed in the media, positively viewed by the fans, compete for championships, get a much better team after next year, bring in a third star. It makes a lot of sense. Now, he also has the opt-out after 2 years. So in 2 years, maybe he decides, I'm going to LA. It's not working out here in Oklahoma City. We've lost in the first round a couple years in a row. I thought when Melo left, we were going to have all this cap room to sign somebody, bring in another star, and we didn't. I want out. Or he could re-up for 5 years at the max money, at the super max. And for him, right, it could either be a 2-year deal or a 7-year deal. So I just thought that was really interesting, right? That contract structure. But I think he wants to be in Oklahoma City. I think, there's a part of him that's going to want to play for LA. A lot of athletes, they want to play for the team. They have a desire to play for the team they grew up rooting for. 90% of athletes won't get to play for that team, right? They may think they want to play for that team, but maybe it's not the perfect situation for them. But now I want to view the signing, the Paul George signing, from the perspective of the Lakers. Because last year they were a little hesitant to trade some pieces for Paul George in Indiana. He goes to Oklahoma City and they're, it's fine, he'll come to us in the offseason. But he re-signs with Oklahoma City. So, do they now feel more pressure to trade for Kawhi Leonard now? Because, listen, the other teams that I think the most likely for him to land with are Boston and Philly. Who says he doesn't, right? If he goes to Boston, competing for championships, you go up against the Warriors, maybe win 3 games. Why would you want to go out to LA? He seems like a competitive player. Why would you want to go to LA? So right, same thing with Philly, right? If they can get to the finals somehow by adding him, and he's the difference, what's stopping him from just staying there? Right? So the Lakers may feel a lot more pressure to go out and trade for him now. The problem and the thing that will be interesting to see is that the Spurs and Greg Popovich want to trade him to the Lakers. Because I don't think Greg Popovich is about to go out. He's about to retire in a few years. He doesn't want to be responsible for creating the next super team. Right? He doesn't want to be responsible for putting LeBron and Kawhi together. Send Kawhi to Philly. If he goes there next year, fine. It's not my fault. It's not your fault. Greg Popovich, it's not my fault. But that would be really interesting because I wouldn't be shocked if the Lakers had the best package on the table, right? Or what we think is the best package on the table. We the fans. I personally believe that the Lakers feel a lot more pressure to trade for Kawhi now. Because you have LeBron, so you actually have championship aspirations and championship hopes. Kawhi Leonard says he wants to be a Laker, although it didn't come out of his mouth. Nothing ever comes out of his mouth. He wants to be a Laker. Trade for him now. And if I'm the Lakers, if I'm Magic Johnson, Rob Pelinka, I do trade for him now. If it doesn't cost me Kuzma, I'll trade anybody else to put Kawhi and LeBron on the same team. You'll have Kuzma. Maybe you still have Ingram or Lonzo Ball. I think you have to trade one or the other at least. So that should be interesting to see how much pressure the Lakers feel they have on them to trade for Kawhi Leonard now. Because if he gets traded somewhere else and doesn't go to the Lakers while LeBron's there, it looks bad. It's bad for the Lakers, for their brand, for that front office, for that ownership. Paul George signing Oklahoma City has a lot of different effects on a lot of different teams, specifically the Lakers. So it will be really interesting to see how the Kawhi Leonard stuff plays out based off this signing by Paul George. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this edition of Courtside. Join me next time where I will talk about the latest rumors and transactions around the NBA. Signing off, this is Andrew Cohen. I will see you next time.